what are you doing going forward?
Right now, going forward, we're transitioning to creative deals. I'm partnering with more wholesalers to help them close their creative deals, and I've got a structure there to help that work. And so that's what we're really pivoting into is those creative deals. I'm creating more relationships with some other guys, especially wholesalers who are really struggling right now. I got two things that I do to help them. One, I've gotten a pretty good dialed in marketing system. And so I have a thing that I call investor launch, right? Where I'll work together with them, and then I'm getting ready to launch things on how do you do creative, how do you buy wholesale deals, how do you work with buyers, how do you do that conversation with the sellers, and so I'm in the process of launching that, and it's going really, really well. On the other side is wholesalers are coming in, and guys who are struggling with the marketing, who don't have the money to do it, don't have that. I'm essentially allowing them to come in, showing what that looks like, and then splitting deals with them for allowing them to run some of my leads if we're overwhelmed or my system's not there. Because follow-ups, I found that follow-up's key, right? And right now I've got 4,000 leads in my system. And so part of the game is just follow up, right? And 3 people following up with 4,000 leads. I mean, it takes a long time. And so that's those are the things I'm doing. I'm trying to connect with more investors. I'm trying to help more investors out. I believe that as there's more wholesalers, investors, people who are creative, and if I help them along the journey, I want to create that community where we're bonded together and we're forging ourselves to win in this market. Because I believe that these are the times that make the most millionaires. The Great Depression made the most millionaires for people who were prepared, people who knew the strategies, and people who partnered with the right people. And so for me, if you guys are struggling, like, reach out, go watch my free stuff, go to my YouTube. I got a whole bunch of free stuff on talking to sellers, marketing, all that kind of stuff. And if you want my help, I'd love to be able to help, set you up in launching, get into the community. And if not, just take the knowledge as much as possible, sharpen yourself, learn and apply that, because the people who are diligent, the people who do the things that they don't want to do, the people who have a long-term vision are going to win. But if you're prepared, you have the right strategies, you're willing to do the work, and you're constantly learning and growing, you will win. The question is, are you doing that? And if you're not, and you're not confident, and you're scared, and you're struggling, reach out. That's all I can say. Reach out.
100% agree with you. Reaching out to people to figure out what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, and how to move forward. So one thing that I also do for new people, anybody, and this goes for anybody who's listening out there, I will actually get on the phone with your sellers and help negotiate and figure out where they're at with the deal. I may not even give them an offer price right then and there, and just try to figure out where they're at and what they're doing while you're on the phone, while you can listen, and that way you can learn. And then after the call, we'll break it down, and figure out why I said what I said, things like that. I found that by doing things like that, you teach by doing.
Right. Now, the flip side to this, Randy, is if it's a creative deal. If they can pick up a creative deal on market, I bought my house that way. So the house I'm in right now, it was on market. It was on market for over 200 days. Mm-hmm. And I bought it creatively. And it's a freaking sweet house. This house is incredible. That's the kicker, is if you have longer days on market and you can negotiate a creative deal, I'm all in.
The creative deal is all about, let's talk about that real quick, okay? And anybody who's staying here at the end, okay, you're going to get some big ass nugget right here, all right? Because I'm asking these questions my selfish reason, and you guys are going to love it, all right? So, with the creative deal, what are the most important things, okay? All right, and what are the main points that you have to get across so to make it a deal and so that you can sell it?
Yeah. So on a creative deal, there's 3 factors. Factor number 1 is how much income can the property bring? Okay. What is the income? So you got to figure out what the income is. What is your input into that deal? The second factor is what is the output, right? So you've got the input of a payment and you've got an output of a payment, and what is the difference, right? That is your cash flow. That is the most important part of the deal. The third element is you're looking at not necessarily equity, but you're looking at how much cash you have to bring to the table to get into the deal. Okay.
Yep.
So money in, money out, cash to the table. Those 3 things are all that matter. Then it's just your structure, right? Do you control the deal but not own it? Do you own the deal and are you wrapping it and creating a note? Are you doing an executory contract? Are you doing, something that is a little bit more creative where you're doing like a master lease, or you're doing some sort of, strategy that way where you're fulfilling an obligation first before you buy it? There's different ways to structure it. But the chief thing you're looking at is how much money you bringing in, how much money you sending out, and how much money you bringing to the table to get in the deal. And if those things match up, you're good. If you bring no money to the table, you have no money for 2 months, and you have an income of $1,700 a month, and then it switches to an income of $700 a month, that's pretty sweet. That's a pretty sweet deal. You bought it for no money, right? You've just taken over the debt or whatever that looks like. You had no payments for 2 months for a variety of reasons. There's ways to do that. And then it dropped to a $700 cash flow. What if you did a little bit of work to the property, got it up nice using that money, use that $2,000, and then you turned it into an Airbnb and it made you $47,000 a year. Right? That's a pretty cool strategy.
They don't know what an executory contract is, and we know it by a different term. And that other term is land contract.
Yes.
Okay. So explain a little bit what you think, not what you think, what your opinion is on the difference between a land contract or an executory contract versus doing a regular seller finance where the deed transfers over to your name.
Yeah. So a land contract, basically the way it works is when you buy, I think the easiest way to do this is when you buy a car, right? When you go and you buy a car, what happens is that deed does not transfer into your name. The person who owns the car or the dealership, they hold on to that deed and you never get it. Okay. Now you get a contract that you have to fulfill in order to get the deed. So what you're doing is, and you guys can Google this and figure it out, but what you're doing is you're entering into an agreement that I'm going to buy this property and I'm promising to buy. You're giving me what's called a land contract, a contract that states that when I fulfill the terms of it, I will get the deed. That gets put in place so that when that's fulfilled, then the deed will be transferred over to my name and I will receive that deed. When you buy on a seller finance deal, it's like going to Wells Fargo and getting a loan. Okay. The deed does transfer into my name. I have the deed and there is a note and a mortgage on the property that is a security instrument. So there's benefits to both, okay, for both buyer and seller. So a land contract, when you buy it, it gives the seller security that they can get the property back quicker, or that they're a little bit more in control, right? That it doesn't fully transfer into your name. However, if the seller was to transfer it into your name and they were to hold back a note and a mortgage, they can actually sell that note and the mortgage. That's an asset that a lot of people aren't familiar with that they can get rid of. That was a huge part of my strategy is I would sell it and then I would sell the note on the back end and I would double dip on profits.
I don't like to make it that long, but you know, you dropped some big nuggets, and I really appreciate it. Really appreciate you coming on. Now, do you have any coaching program or anything like that?
Yeah, so so if you guys are interested, really, I mean, start off with just some of my free stuff I've been pushing out there. Go to my website, check it out. I got a bunch of free content. Before I tell people like, yo, come and do that, I really want you to resonate, right? And I want you guys to get some value. And so, yes, I do. I've got some students. I've actually built 2 education companies in the past. This is not my first rodeo. I've helped other guys launch their stuff. I've helped other guys launch their YouTube channels to get to 20,000 subscribers, hundreds of thousands of dollars in education, all of that stuff. But really with where it's at now, guys, go look me up. Look at my free stuff. If you're interested, I am building a community called the Forged to Win community. I'll help launch your marketing. I'll help launch your strategies. I'll help you set your strategies in place and talk to sellers. And talk about step 2. Those are my strengths. That's what I can walk you through. And this has been a ton of fun, Randy. Thank you for having me on. It's been my pleasure, bro.
No problem at all. So anybody who's out there who's looking, I have one last thing. If you want me to do a comping video, all right, leave a comment in there. I'll do a comping video about Detroit, Metro Detroit, on how I comp and what I do. And it'll basically be me sharing the screen, showing how I comp the area. And I do it the freeway. Redfin, Zillow. You know, I don't have access to MLS. You know, PropStream and batch leads, they're great and all. But you know, I do the freeway. That way we can all help each other out. So
I love that. That's awesome, man. Sweet.
All right. Thank you.